Hello and welcome to episode 89 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I've had a really nice week. Nothing exciting. It's just been a really nice week. I've felt really productive. I've got the club started for December already. I've got pretty much all my Christmas shopping done. I've started, making my lists for the groceries that I'm going to need to pick up this coming week so that I don't have to deal with the pre-holiday crowds. In general, I've been feeling really good this week. My asthma has been kind of behaving. I've started feeling the baby move from the outside, so you can actually feel it when you put your hand on my belly. Now, it has not behaved for Avery. I've tried a couple of times to have her feel it move, but it's very stubborn and it just stops as soon as she's around. But that's been really exciting too. And also, I've been able to move a little bit more. Up until now, I've been finding it very difficult to walk. I've had a lot of kind of groin area pain, and I think it's because every time I've gone for an ultrasound, the tech has said that the baby is just kind of hanging out at the very bottom of my uterus like a little hammock. It's just chilling down there in a little hammock, and I think all that pressure was just making things very uncomfortable. And I think this week it's kind of shifted up a little bit, so I'm able to go upstairs better. I'm able to walk around for long periods of time without getting really uncomfortable. So it's just been a really nice week. And then today's Saturday. I am recording a little bit later than usual. Yesterday we went to my mom's to take Avery to visit Santa. She's currently there for a sleepover, so I am kid-free today. I am kid-free. I am husband-free. I mentioned over Vlogmas, I've now got part 3 up of Vlogmas if you're interested, but I mentioned in the last little installment that Dennis is on another business trip, so today I just have to worry about myself and Mr. T. So I'm just going to do the things I want to do. I'm just going to relax. I'm planning on going out later to visit Rose, who is the dyer behind Akara Yarn. She's having a trunk show at Eliza Knits today. I really want to go see that. The weather doesn't want me to go. I woke up this morning and it was just snowing. Big, fat, fluffy flakes that are just coming down in streams. So I am going to have to shovel the driveway. I just did a clip for Vlogmas, but I was really hoping to get through this week without having to shovel before Dennis got home. It's just, I can do it. It's just a little difficult, but I'm going to have to shovel today. But I'm determined. I really want to go to this trunk show. I really want to see Rose. I haven't been to Eliza's in a long time. So yeah, that is in the plan. And then later today, I'm going to do some present wrapping. So it's just going to be a fun day. But to start that day off, we are going to record this little episode, and I am going to show you what I've been working on this week, and I'm excited to show those projects to you. And then after that, I'm going to do a bingo update. So I want to update you on how my 2019 bingo card is looking, and then also I think I have my 2020 bingo card all planned out. I think I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to talk about the projects that I'm hoping to get done over the next year. And yeah, this is just a fun, exciting episode for me anyway. It's a good day. I'm having a good day, so let's all enjoy the knitting together. So what do I have for you today? I think all works in progress. I have 4 works in progress, 5 if you count my long-term one that I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to do the update. So let's get started. I am going to start, as always, with my Desert Vista Dye Works socks. And so these are my socks for December. I am working on the colorway Stranger Things. I'm doing this as kind of a knit-along with Steph from Adore Knit. And I think there might be a few other people on Instagram who are also using this colorway. I am making these for my brother. So these are going to be part of my next year's gift basket. Unfortunately, they're not going to count for my bingo card, but that's okay. I have other gift socks that I can do, but they will be done in the basket. So this is what I have so far. When I shared these with you last week, I had just finished the cuff, and I explained that when I knit my vanilla socks for the men in my life, so Dennis or my brothers, I start with 72 stitches, and then I do just the regular like vanilla vanilla pattern that I normally do. For my brother, because his feet seem to fit whatever I make for him, I did a German short row heel because it's just a nice fast little heel. And then I am currently working down the foot. So my brother's feet, all three of them, they're just slightly larger than mine. So normally I will knit the socks so that they fit my feet, but with like a little bit of extra room around the toe. So I think I don't have that much farther to go for the foot. I think I could probably get this done. Okay, based on my past 2 months with this challenge and finishing like almost a whole sock in like a day, I'm pretty sure if I really wanted to, I could finish this sock in an afternoon. But we are at the 14th of the month. So I've said before, normally I like to try and have my first sock done around midpoint of the month so that I have the rest of the month to do the second sock. I'm on track for that, so I'm pretty sure by the end of this weekend, especially if I bring it, I have to go pick up Avery tomorrow. If I were to bring this sock with me to my mom's tomorrow, I could probably get this mostly done tomorrow, so I'll be right on track. So this is the progress that I have on my first sock. I find it very interesting because with Susan of Desert Vista Dye Works, all her yarns are dyed to order. I think she has started a section in her website now that have ready to ship skeins, but previously it's pretty much been dyed to order. Every month she puts up the colorways of that month, and then when you order them, it can take 4 to 6 weeks to get your order because she dyes them on order. I didn't think anything of this colorway when I received it, but now that I'm knitting with it, and now that I'm seeing the other people who are also knitting with this colorway at the same time, I've realized that my stripes are not in the same order that she shows them in like the sample picture or in any other image that I've seen. This is the colorway Stranger Things. I don't think I mentioned that. But the black in the original colorway and the way I've seen it on other people's socks, this red stripe is not kind of sandwiched between these two black stripes. One of these black stripes is somewhere else. So I just find that really interesting. So I don't know if it's just when she dyed the skein, just who knows, right? Because they're dyed individually. But I actually kind of like how this looks in this sequence versus the other ways that I've seen it. So I just found that interesting. I have my brother is going to have a truly one-of-a-kind sock because this is not the way that this colorway is supposed to look. So yes, so this is my progress on my December sock this month. I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I said that in November too, so I'm not going to count anything right now, but I think I'll be okay. So the next thing I'm going to share with you, I think I'm just going to go into, you know what, I'm going to save my Advent projects for last. So I'm going to show you the other projects that I've been working on this week that are not Advent projects. So let's start with the knitting one. So I've mentioned that one of the things that I would really like to get done this month is the sweater for Avery for Christmas. I'm doing this color block hoodie from the book 60 Quick Knits for Kids. And I'm making this in a chenille yarn because I just want something that's oversized and cuddly and cozy. At this point, I don't know with all the other projects. I think I talked last week about all the projects I want to get done for December, my December goals. There's a lot, and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get all of them done, and I think if any of them are going to kind of slide, this might be one of the projects that slide because there's other things that I want to finish more. But that's fine. If you remember, I finished that blanket for Avery, and that is under the tree, so she does have something handmade under the tree and ready, and she is just waiting to be able to use that blanket. But I'm still going to work on this sweater when I can, and if I can finish it, great. But if not, I'm not really worried about it. So I think last week I put a little marker. When I showed it to you last time, I really didn't have that much done. So I basically just cast on and done a couple of rows. So I was right where this marker is here. I'm at the point where I'm just knitting around and around and around to do the body. I'm going to be doing that up until where the arm shaping starts, and then I think you start working back and forth on the front and then the back separately, and then kind of piece everything together. So this is what I have got so far, and honestly, I got this much done in an afternoon. The other day I just decided to work on this for the afternoon, and this is how much I got done in an afternoon. So it does work up fairly quickly. I do like the fabric, I do like the yarn. It is super soft and cuddly. So even if she just kind of wears this to kind of hang out at the, around the house is fine. But it is knitting up really, really nicely. I do quite like how it's looking. For the color block, if you remember when I showed the yarn for this project, I have some black and the same yarn that I'm going to do the sleeves and the accents and stuff with. So the yarn that I'm using is the Premier Yarns Parfait. I ordered this from Yarn Canada. And the pink that I'm using was not my first choice. My first choice was a brighter pink. But if you remember, they were out of stock of like so many colors and I had to pick something else. So yeah, that's how that's going. And then the next project that I have to share with you is how my cross stitch project is going. This is something I'd really like to have done by the end of the month. It is on my bingo card. That's kind of where my focus is going to be with all my little goals for this month. I'm going to kind of prioritize the ones that could potentially fill a square on my bingo card. And this is one. I do have a square to do a cross stitch project. And this is my progress so far. So I'll try and pop up a little picture in the corner there of what the finished design looks like. It's very, very simple. I believe the shop that I bought this from is Love My Designs on Etsy. All her designs kind of have this very simple damask pattern with like black and like accents of red. So this is a little reindeer. And I think the last time I showed it to you, I had whatever is above my finger there done. So I had done the antlers and I had just done a little bit of the head. So since then, this week, I sat down for I think over 2 afternoons and I was able to get the rest of the head and work down the front. So I think this part here is just starting where the little leg will be. I also added in the nose. So I'm really liking how this is looking. I didn't mention the first time I showed this project that I do my cross stitch just a little bit differently than what is typical. So this is done on a 14 count Aida, and most patterns for cross stitch will call for you to use 2 strands of embroidery floss. So if you're familiar with embroidery floss, it comes in like, one strand that is made up of 6 tiny little strands, and you're supposed to separate those out into groups of 2. So you would have 3 groups of 2 strands. I have always found when I've used 2 strands that I see too much of the background fabric. I don't really like that. So I've always done my cross stitch with 3 strands held together. So that way it's just, I find it, you just get more of a solid look. I just like it better. It still goes through the holes just fine. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing 3 strands held together. And then for the nose here, I decided to hold, I don't know if I held the whole thing. I might have held the whole thing, like all 6 strands, or I might have just added more, but I wanted the nose to kind of be a little dimensional, so to stick out just a little more than the other ones. So I did use more strands for the nose. But this is going pretty quickly. Generally, what I do is I'll pull out a length of embroidery floss, I'll split it into the 2 halves of the 3 strands, and then I will work on this project until I've used up all the floss that I kind of pulled for that session. Then I'll put this down, work on some other things, and then the next time I decide to work on it, I'll do that. Again, I'll pull out a big strand, divide it, and just work through until I get through what I pulled out. I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to finish this by the end of the month, especially since I don't need it done for Christmas, so I'll have time after kind of all the craziness if I need to put a little bit more time into it. But that is how that is going. And then now I think we can talk about my Advent projects. So I've talked before how I have 2 Advent projects that I am working on with all the little minis that I received from my friends in my Advent swaps. And I was actually able to give you an update. I think in part 3 of my Vlogmas, I was able to give you an update on my blanket. If you want to see the blanket all laid out on the floor, like how it looks in its entirety, check out the part 3 of my Vlogmas, because there's just no way I'm going to be able to show you the whole blanket in the frame here, but I will show you how much I've put on since starting putting in the Advent minis. So this is my Granny Stripes blanket. I really love this pattern for using up sock weight scraps. Actually, it would be nice with any weight scraps. Even if you don't crochet, I think you could look up this pattern and learn the stitch that you need, because it's very repetitive. So once you learn this stitch, you could just do this whole blanket, even if you don't know, you know, all there is to know about crochet in general. But this is where I am so far. And where I started my Advent minis is right where this red row is. So where I left off from previous in the year, I decided to put a red row so that I knew everything above that was my Advent minis. So you can see all the colors that I've been putting in. I'm still not caught up with all the minis that I've opened so far, but I can, if I sit down and really put some time into this, I can get through several minis. So I'm just enjoying this project. I'm going to do what I can. If I don't get through all the minis by the end of the month, I'll just carry this into the new year, and I'm okay with that. I explained in the part 3 that at this point the blanket is kind of getting big enough that I would be comfortable with calling it done. And so I'm thinking what I might do is just get all my Advent minis into this blanket, even if it goes into 2020, and then once those are all in there, I might just call this blanket done. Originally, I had planned on making it large enough to go over a queen size bed, but I'm like, you know what? I think I would be able to enjoy it more if it was down in our living room as kind of like a couch accent blanket, because if it's on the bed, you're really only going to see it when you're, like, for us, we're only going to see it when we're upstairs in the room, and half the time when, I mean, I don't hang out in my bedroom, right? So I'm going to go up there, I'm going to get ready for bed, I'm going to see it on the bed, like, you know, hi blanket, and then I'm, you know, for that couple of minutes, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and then I'll be out of the room the next day again. So I'm thinking the size that it is now is big enough for a couch blanket, and then I can just enjoy it all the time. So I'm thinking that's the direction that I'm going to go. I'm just going to put all the minis that I have from my Advents this year into this blanket, and once those are in there, it'll be done, and then I'll probably start another one, because I've just really enjoyed having this as a way to eat up those last little scraps from socks or from my mitered square blanket. I really enjoyed this project. So that's the blanket. And then I explained maybe 2 episodes ago when I was talking about my Advent projects that my plan was, after I put a row into my blanket using an Advent mini, if there was any leftovers, I was going to put them into some Advent socks. And I had showed you the cuff that I started, because the cuff, the heel, and the toe of these socks are going to be done in the same yarn. And then I'm just going to add in all my scraps. So I have started putting in the leftover scraps from the Advent minis in the blanket into these socks. So this is what I have so far of the socks. So this is the cuff here. So this is going to be the color of the cuff, heel, and toe. This is some Knit Picks Glimmer. I think it's like their stroll base, but with a sparkle. You can see there's like a silver sparkle. And then these are all the minis that I have put in so far. So I have decided for my Advent socks, I am not putting the scraps into here in the same order necessarily that they've gone into my blanket. After I put a row into the blanket, if there's any left over, I'm putting it into the project bag for these socks. And so those were just kind of building up. And then when I decide that I want to work on the socks for a couple of hours or whatever time I have, I'll take out all the little bits that I have put aside, I'll lay them out, and then I'll just pick as I go which one I want to put in next. So I mean, it's not really planned, but like, you know, after I do this stripe, I'll look at what is, you know, what are my options and decide what I kind of want to have next to that stripe. And I'm also not necessarily using all of what I have. So there's been some minis that I have a very little bit of. So these first 2 up here, I used everything that was left from the blanket in these 2 stripes. But like these 2 stripes here, there was quite a bit left, and I didn't want to have like a really big chunk of one color. So I worked maybe 5 or 6 rows in that color, and then I put that mini back in my project bag, because then what I can do is in the second sock, I can incorporate some of these similar colors to kind of link the two socks together because they're going to be scrappy, they're going to look different. But I figure if they have some similar colors but in different areas, it would just kind of, you know, make them kind of like a pair. So so all of these ones here are kind of solid colors that I used. And then when we get down to about here, this is starting some striping yarn scraps that I had. So if the scrap that I'm using is a striping yarn, I have been using just the whole scrap because the stripes, so this one here goes down to about here. This is all one yarn here, but because it's striping, the little sections still kind of fit in with the other ones. And then from this yellow here down to the pink, this is also striping yarn. So I just knit the whole little scrap that I have. I feel like the challenge that I'm gonna have with these socks is that I'm just gonna wanna keep knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting the leg because it's a rather fun project, and I'm gonna forget to put the heel in. So even right now, I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, okay, I could probably put the heel in right now, but I wanna add some more scraps. So I'm gonna have to decide how long of a leg I want. These are going to be for me, and I do like a longer leg in socks because I like wearing them over my leggings. I'm thinking I might put in just a few more stripes, and then I'll put the heel in, and I'm going to be doing a German short row heel for these so that I don't have to worry about managing the stripes in any other heel. So this is what I have so far of my Advent socks, and I am just really, really enjoying them. I think they're super fun. I am weaving in the ends as I go. I just find that easier because it's not as overwhelming. It takes literally 2 seconds just to weave them in, and then I don't have all these like spider legs hanging out of my sock as I work on it. So those are, I think, the main projects that I worked on this week. Next week, I'm going to try and put my attention into some of the other projects that I'm kind of like rotating. So next week, I think I'm definitely going to be still working on my DVD socks, but I want to bring back my exploration station and get a good chunk on that. I'll probably bring in my linger here because I want to get some work done on those cables. So I think I'm going to rotate some other projects in next week. Plus, next week is the last week that I have with Avery at school. So I really want to try and put a dent into some of my other projects. So yes, so that is what I have worked on this week, and now we are going to get into my bingo updates. So I'm going to scooch over a little bit because I want to put up pictures of my bingo cards. We're going to start with my current bingo card and just kind of see where I am and if there's any boxes that I think I still might complete by the end of the year. And then I'm going to share with you my 2020 plans. Okay, so hopefully that is enough room to put up a picture. If you notice a glow, it's because I've got my tablet open below me with my bingo card so I can look down and see what I'm talking about, but I will have a picture up here so that you can see it as well. So I'm not going to go through all my goals this time. I'm just going to be looking at the ones that are not complete, and we're going to see if there's something that I think I can potentially finish by the end of the year. So we're going to start with the first row, and I can tell you right now that those top two squares, finish 5 adult garments and make a colorwork accessory, are probably not going to happen. For the colorwork accessory, I really wanted to do the sucker punch cowl, and I could probably find a pattern that is a colorwork item that, you know, is fairly small that I could whip out and block that square off, but I really want the sucker punch cowl, and so I think I'm going to try and do that for next year. So both of those squares I'm probably not going to be able to finish by the end of this month. Going down to the next row, use 10 patterns acquired before 2019. I just need one more to finish this goal. So if I finish the color block sweater, if I finish the exploration station, and I think there might have been one other project, the cumulus blouse is not going to be finished by the end of this month. So if I finish either exploration station or Avery sweater, this block will be done. The one beside that is complete one kit from Stash. I still might be able to do that. The kit that I had in mind, I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it. It's beside Grumpy Cat here in the background, and it's a little felting kit. And that's the one that I've had in my mind all year that I was going to do for this square. And technically, felting, or it's needle felting, I know if I sit down one afternoon and just kind of focus on it, it goes pretty quickly. So I think I might be able to. That's still possible. I don't know with everything else that's going on if I will, but it's possible. So it's quite possible that I could still finish those 2 squares, and then that would give me a bingo. That would give me a row. So going down to the next row, figure out how my knitting machine works and make an item. Honestly, I could probably do that in an afternoon if I really wanted to. I don't see that happening. It's not something that I've prioritized. It's not something that I'm like, ooh, I really want to sit down and do that. It might happen next year, but I don't see it happening by the end of this month. Knit a half circle shawl. My exploration station would complete this square. So that is 2 squares that the exploration station would help me work towards, which is why next week I really want to try and put a good dent into that. If I can finish that by the end of the month, I've got 2 squares that will help me block off. The next 2 that are open there are use 3 sock blinks from Stash. I am currently working on another pair of micro stripe socks, but I'm not going to get 3 sock blinks used up. So that square and the next square is probably not going to happen. Make another faded garment. I am not going to finish another garment, at least adult size garment, by the end of the month. So those 2 squares will probably remain open. And then there's just 1 more square left. Make a cross stitch project. And as you saw today, I am working on my little reindeer, and I'm pretty sure I will finish that. So I'm pretty sure that one will definitely be blocked off, and then that gives me 2 bingos because that will finish that row as well as the diagonal row. So I think there are 3 squares, possibly 4 if I finish the kit, that I can still mark off by the end of the month. This might be, I'll have to look at the card from 2018. This might be the fullest that I've ever gotten one of my bingos. I never get a full card blocked off, but I'm pretty happy so far with how this one has gone. So that is my 2019 bingo card progress, and now I am going to put up my 2020 plans, and we are going to talk about what I really want to get done for next year. So hopefully I have the picture up in the corner there so you can follow along with me. And again, I am going to be looking down at my card. I am really excited about my 2020 plans. I've mentioned before that I've really tried to scale back my goals for next year just because I don't know how much knitting time I'm going to have, especially after the baby arrives. So usually I'm pretty ambitious with my bingo cards. Usually I can know, like I keep track of how many projects I make every year, and generally I can make around 40 to 50 projects over the course of a year. So I'm usually pretty ambitious. I like to add lots of goals, lots of little parts to my cards, but for next year I've really tried to scale that back. There's a lot of squares that are single projects or very vague because I don't know which direction I'm going to want to go. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. So yeah, you might notice a difference in just how I've kind of spread things out with this card, but I am very excited to get cracking on it. There's a lot of projects on here I really want to do. So we are going to start up at the top. So the very first square going from left to right is some baby knee socks. I will also mention, if I have yarns that I have in mind for projects, I have them here. I will share them with you. And also, if there is a specific pattern that I have in mind, I will try and pop that up on the screen. It doesn't mean I'm definitely going to stick to that pattern, but just going into next year, if there's a pattern that I kind of have in mind for a square, I'm going to share that with you as well. So first square, baby knee socks. There is this pattern that I made for a baby swap a number of years ago that I really liked. It was fun to make, and I think it would be very practical because it'd be very easy to put over like a onesie. Like if you have a whole like little full arm, full leg onesie, it would be very easy to layer over those. Or if you're wearing a short onesie, it would be very easy to put on just to keep the little legs warm. So I really want to make a pair of baby knee socks, and I'm not sure, I showed in the Vlogmas episode where I opened my Knit Picks order that I had a skein of Felici that I bought, and that might work for it, but I'm not 100% set on that, so we'll just have to see. The next one is a random baby knit. This is an example of just a very vague square. I know once the baby's born, obviously we don't know the gender, so I don't want to plan a lot of specific patterns because I don't know if that's what I'm going to want to knit once the baby's born and we know who who the baby is and what the baby is. So I have a lot of very random things. I know I'm going to want to knit things, but I don't know what I'm going to want to knit. So just random baby knit. It could be anything for the baby. The next one is use 5 patterns acquired before 2020. So as you might remember from this year's card, I had a square to use 10 patterns acquired before the year in question. So I really liked this square. It made me look at my magazines, it made me look at my books, it made me look at patterns in Ravelry that I had already purchased instead of automatically wanting to purchase the newest release. And I found it really, really helpful to guide my projects. Now, if you also remember, as I just discussed, I am still on that last of the 10 patterns for 2019. And so it's taken me all year to use 10 patterns. Originally, I had this square as use 10 patterns, but then I also had one empty square that I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with. So I decided to take that and divide it into 2 parts so that I could complete those squares potentially a little quicker. So I made it use 5 patterns, and that way I can still do this goal, but it'll only take me 5 patterns to fill this block, and then the other block another 5 patterns. The next one is complete months 1 to 3 of the DVD challenge. I still plan on participating in the DVD challenge next year. I think I have all my skeins for it. This past year, I only put on my card months 1 to 3 and then 4 to 6, but I've ended up completing the whole, well, potentially, but I'm pretty sure I'll complete the whole year. So that's 2 squares that I could have had on my card that I kind of missed out on that I could have fulfilled. So I decided to just go for the whole year next year and break those into the monthly quarters. So that's months 1 to 3 of the DVD challenge. The next box is to make a light box for Avery. Now this is a specific pattern, so I will pop up a picture. I have this in my library right now. I really like it, and I think it would make a really nice design for both a boy or girl, depending on what colors you use. So because Avery is already round, I know what colors that she likes, I'm probably going to start hers earlier in the year, work on that until the baby's due, and then once the baby arrives, I want to make a little matching version, but in colors that will suit the baby. So I think it's going to be really cute. Avery loves the idea of little matching outfits, and while I don't want to do like matching outfits, I thought it would be cute to have the same kind of base color to the sweaters, and then where you see the accent stripes, have those be different colors. So Avery's will probably be like a gray and a bright pink, and then the baby's will be a gray and then a different color. So one box is going to be make that sweater for Avery. And then as you can see with the next row down, the next box is make a light box for the baby. So one for her and one for the baby. I just have to wait and see what colors I want to use. The next box is months 4 to 6 of the DVD challenge. The next box is make a baby vertebrae. This is one knit that I would like to have done before the baby is born. There was an episode where I shared some of the knits that I made for Avery when we were expecting her, and one of the things I didn't have was a little sweater that would fit her right when she was born. I made everything bigger because everybody tells you, you know, don't waste your time on newborn stuff because they wear it for 2 seconds. And I'm like, okay, great. So I made all these bigger sizes, and then she was born and she had no sweaters because everything was too big. So I actually do have a yarn in mind for this pattern, and it is this one right here. This year I participated in Dana of Unwind's kind of yearly challenge that she had in her Ravelry group, and about a month or so ago I won whatever block. So every 2 months she draws a winner for that block, and I was the winner for that block, and I got to choose a skein of yarn from her shop. So I chose this one here. I think this is called Let Them Eat Cake, and it's on a sock weight base, and I thought this was a really, really nice gender neutral color. It's kind of got those softer creams and, you know, aquas, and then it's got little kind of pops of this reddish color, but I thought this would be really nice. It would go with you know, creams, it would go with grays, and so this is what I'm planning on making a baby vertebrae with, so that I have a little sweater all ready to go. Depending on how much yarn I have left over, I might do some little accessories to go with it, we'll see, but that's what I'm planning on making my baby vertebrae with. The next square is to get fiber stashed down to 2 bins. I currently have 3 bins of spinning fiber, and for the amount that I have been spinning lately, I think 3 bins is too much. So I'm not going to give myself any kind of goal as to how many skeins I want to spin, how many ounces I want to spin. I just want to spin enough that I can condense my fiber stash down to 2 bins. The next square is make a baby hat. So I do have a pattern in mind. It's this little bonnet with bear ears, but I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm trying to keep my squares really, really vague in case I change my mind. So I just want to make a baby hat. Going down to the next line, complete an adult garment. So this could be a whip. As you know, I have many sweaters that I have started and not finished. So this could be something that I've already started. This could be a new project. I just want to make at least one adult garment. I would really like to make Dennis a new sweater, so it could be that. We'll see. But again, keeping it very simple, keeping it very vague. I just want to make an adult garment. The next square is to make a cross-stitch project. When I was talking about the reindeer pattern that I'm currently working on, I mentioned how I also purchased a larger design, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do both in December. That's not going to happen. That's crazy talk. So I moved it to 2020. It's still a project I'd really like to do. I do enjoy having a cross-stitch project on the go sometimes, and I do like this design. So I thought that would make a nice little square for something different. I'm going to try and finish that other cross-stitch project next year. Going on next is make the chenille jellyfish. So this is one where I bought, I picked out some more of that Premier Parfait yarn in this really, really pretty teal. I was hoping for a cream or a gray, but again, they were out of stock of like all the colors. But this is a really, really pretty teal. So if you've seen, you might have seen going around on Ravelry, there's these patterns for these jellyfish with these like curly little tentacles, and it's supposed to be something, those curly little limbs are supposed to be something that the baby really, really likes because it mimics the umbilical cord that it would have had for like 9 months, floating around it and playing with it and stuff. So I really want to make a crochet jellyfish, and I want to make it in a chenille yarn. I saw something similar when I was at the Kitchener show in September. There was a booth that had one on display and you could buy kits for it, and they were just so soft and cuddly, and I was just like, that is something that I think I would really, really like to make for the baby, and I think it would be a really, really quick, cute project, so it would be really easy to knock a square off. So that is that project that I want to do. The next square, make something with the bulky green and yellow yarn. So I have a whole bunch of this yarn here that I bought for another project that I never ended up making, and so it's just taking up space. I actually store this in beaker right there. That's what keeps my beaker bag all nice and plump, is all the yarn that I have of this. So I just want to make something with it this year, and because these are fairly gender neutral colors, I'm thinking I could probably make something for the baby. I'm thinking of maybe holding it double and making a really, really cushy like floor mat or something, so that if we want to just put the baby down on the ground, there's just this really, really cushy base. I could also make a blanket with it, but you know, who knows. I want to make something with it, so that's my square. I just want to use that yarn and kind of get that out of my stash. So going down to the next row, we have complete month 7 to 9 of the DVD challenge. The next one is the duplicate of that earlier square where I want to make another 5 patterns that I already have acquired. The next square is to make at least 4 pairs of gift socks. So I've actually cut back on this. Usually I like to make, this year my goal was to make 6 pairs of gift socks. I do have enough people in my life that I knit socks for that I could probably do more than 6 pairs. But I wanted to just keep things fairly minimal just in case I don't have the time to maybe make bus driver socks or teacher socks or, you know, whatever socks. So I just said 4 total, at least 4 pairs of gift socks. That would include socks if I want to make any for Avery. So just 4 pairs of gift socks over the year. I think I can do that. The next one is to make something for Mackenzie. So if you'll remember, Mackenzie is the daughter of one of my very best friends, and usually every year I make her 1 or 2 things. Sometimes something for her birthday, sometimes something for Christmas. So I just want to make her something next year. I don't know when, don't know what, I just want to make her something. The next square is finish a pre-2020 whip. So just something that I already have on my needles that kind of carries over into 2020. I just want to finish it. So it could be these Advent socks if I don't finish them. It could be my microstripe socks. It could be my Cumulus blouse. Just something that I have remaining from pre-2020 I want to finish. And I'm only going to do one of them because I know I'm not the best at getting back to finishing WIPs. Going down to the final row, so we have another random baby knit square. Again, I just want to make something. We'll see what I feel like at the time. The next square is to sew holiday gift bags. This is actually one that I'm really excited about. My plan is after Christmas to go to Fabricland when hopefully their Christmas prints will be discounted. And so up until this point, whenever I do the wrapping for our gifts, if you watched last year's Vlogmas, you would have seen me explain this. But we each have our own roll of wrapping paper. So, you know, all of Dennis's presents are wrapped in one print. All of my presents are wrapped in one print. Same with Avery. All of her presents are wrapped in one print. And I'd really like to get away from using wrapping paper every year. It's just it's like a one, I know it's recyclable, but it's just a one, you go through all that work and all that time and it's like, you know, ripped off and then it's in the recycling. So what I want to do is buy a specific print for each of us and make different sizes of drawstring bags that I can put our gifts in every year so that we can reuse them every year. We still have a specific print for each of us. I really like how that looks, and it's very easy to organize under the tree and to give out and stuff. But I just want them to be like drawstring bags or some sort of reusable thing that we can use every year. So once Christmas is over and I have a chance to go pick up fabric, that will be the first step, and then hopefully over the year I can just sew them as I can sit down for maybe 30 minutes or an hour or so. So the next square is to paint a pottery piece. If you remember over the summer, Avery and I went to what it was called, Crockadoodle. It's like one of those studios that you can go and you can paint some pottery and they take care of the firing and the glazing and all that. It was a really fun experience. Avery really liked it, and I have some ideas of some other pieces that I would like, and I'm sure she would love to go and paint another piece herself. So I just want to go and just make another piece at that studio. So I thought that would be a fun square. That's something kind of easy. It's an activity we can do together, and yeah, so that is one of my squares too. The next one is another very vague square, just make an accessory. This could be anything, could be hats, could be mitts, could be whatever. I just wanted to give myself an open square to kind of play with depending on what I was in the mood for. And then the final square is to complete months 10 to 12 of the DVD challenge. So like I said, I've broken it up into the 4 quarters. Hopefully I can participate in the whole year next year. If not, that's just the way it's going to be, but that is my goal. So that is my 2020 bingo card right now. I'm pretty happy with it. I won't say that it's set in stone. You never know, by the end of the month, 1 or 2 things might change, but I'm pretty happy with my goals. Like I said last week, the sign up thread for the 2020 bingo challenge is up in the Bling Your String group right now, and I think next week I'm going to be putting up the card submission thread for anybody who participated this year. So if this is something that you're interested in and you think would be fun to play along with, you can head over to the group. Just post in the sign-ups and planning thread that you'd like to play along, and I will create a card for you. It's very simple to play along, and you can put as much effort into it as you want. I really do recommend following the thread. I do participation prizes, I do little incentives throughout the year where you can change things up. But if you just want to kind of do this for your own thing and just kind of play along on your own on the side, you can totally do that too. So it's totally up to you. But yeah, so that is up and running, and I think that is all I have for you this week. I am going to clean this up, I'm going to get this uploaded, and then I am going to shovel the driveway, get in the car, and go see Rose at Eliza Knits. I'm really looking forward to that. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend with lots and lots of crafting, and I will talk to you soon.